It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another post. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat. A miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome back to the Menangle Angle on a very wet day here in Sydney. It has been absolutely bucketing down at Club Menangle this morning. My name's Jessica Watkins and I'm the Racing and Social Media Executive here at Club Menangle, and I'm joined by David Wonson, our General Manager for Racing. Wano, as I just mentioned, a very wet week here in Sydney. How's the track playing?
Track's fantastic. Yeah, look, the main track's really good. The jog track, of course, is underwater. We've had that much rain. We didn't know what was in the middle of the track this morning. When we went over and had a look a little bit closer, it was a dolphin. So we've had a fair bit of wet weather. But no, the main track's really good, and we're supposed to clear up a little on Saturday. The wet weather is supposed to finish Friday afternoon, and we'll be fine and fast here on Saturday.
Yeah, that's fantastic that the track's going to be fine and fast here on Saturday night. Of course, an 8-race card coming up, headlined by the Racenet Discovery Stakes, where we'll see the 4 top place runners that don't gain a slot in the Eureka becoming the emergencies for that event. So plenty on the line there, but it's also a bit of a last chance dance for any of these runners hoping to secure the eye of a slot holder as well. Yeah,
it is. And it's really important about those 4 emergencies. It's not as if it's a first emergency, second emergency. It's 4 emergencies. People, if someone has some unfortunate luck and they have to scratch a horse that's got a slot, they can pick any one of the 4. So it's not actually, it's just really important to be an emergency because you can still get picked. So this race takes on a huge amount of significance and also gets a run. It guarantees you a run in the 50,000 stockade here on Eureka night.
Well, on today's show, we've got 2 guests lined up. Our first guest will be Bernie Hewitt, joining us from Bathurst. He has 4 horses engaged this Saturday night, and 2 of them are in that Racenet Discovery Stakes. I speak of Royal Cruiser and Our Goat. I think Royal Cruiser is currently the favourite on tab fixed odds. We're then also going to catch up with Judd, who will be joining us from the Menangle Park Training Centre. He has 4 horses engaged as well at the meeting, and in particular I speak of Veet Monet, another runner in the Racenet Discovery Stakes. And after we've spoken to those 2 participants, we'll then also run through our best bets for the meeting and take a look in depth at that Racenet Discovery Stakes. So, Wano, plenty to get through. Let's get stuck straight into it. Well, it's great to welcome Bernie Hewitt onto the Menangle Angle, a first-time guest. Bernie, you're up there in Bathurst today. How's the weather?
It's pretty wet today, Jess. Much needed though. Like it's good rain, and it's made work a bit miserable this morning. But at least we're getting a bit of moisture before the spring, so that's great news.
Yeah, but I had to actually, I didn't drive to work. I paddled to work in a canoe. We've had some wet weather down here. It's supposed to be fine, so give you some confidence for weekend. It's supposed to stop tomorrow afternoon, so the track should be fine, although this track's pretty good in the wet weather. But you do like a bit of dry weather when you're coming across the mountain. One thing Barry Lou always told me, though, Bernie, being on the land like you are, there's always money in mud.
Yeah, you can't beat mud over dust, that's for sure, yeah. No money in dust.
Mate, we're going to, you've got a pretty busy night here this Saturday night and some really important races that you're competing in. But first of all, I'm going to ask about race 1, Jewel Melody. $500,000 earning for yourself and owner Wayne Loader. She was the jewel in the crown there for during her juvenile campaign. She's back here at Menangle. She's been up there with your daughter Gemma, and I know Doug's up there in Queensland at the moment. How do you expect her to return here to Club Menangle after her little journey up north?
Yeah, look, she's approaching the breeding season actually, and she's probably only going to have a couple of runs now in Sydney before she goes off the stud. So she worked terrific during the week. Very strong mare, but hasn't come up with a good barrier, so she's going to have her work cut out in that race. She's been a grand filly, and as I say, she's just winding up now. So hopefully she'll have a run this week and maybe next week, and probably pull the curtain on her. But she worked terrific yesterday, so she's going to need a bit of speed on to be able to get in the finish, but hopefully that happens.
Mate, well, just talking about then, have you and Wayne, and like she's going to be a commercial broodmare if she goes to a commercial stallion, would it be something you look at putting in the sales and do go to a really top-line commercial stallion? Have you had a discussion about that, you and Wayne?
No, well, I just leave it to Wayne. Like she actually went to stud last year, and they took two embryos off her and put them in the other mares, but neither of them carried. So Wayne will, we're not going to go back on that path this year. So she'll just go to stud and carry the foal. So hopefully everything works out well for her this year. And she's obviously going to go to whatever stallion Wayne comes up with this year, but it'll be a commercial stallion for sure.
Your next engagement then comes up in race 3, and you've drawn number 7 with Rip here. He had a year and a half off the track, and he returned in May earlier this year. What kept him sidelined?
It was just a flare-up, Jess, of his old injury he did as a yearling or as a 2-year-old. We just jumped onto the back of his tendon, playing in a dry creek bed, and he severed the tendon, and he had an operation, and obviously it was a success because he actually raced for quite a while after that. And then I think his form tapered a bit, but we felt he was just feeling it a little bit. You wouldn't notice him lame, but his performance just dropped off, and if you palpated the area, it was just a bit tender. So we give him a good long spell, which he never really got as a young horse. He was racing as a 2- and 3-year-old and 4-year-old. So he just needed a good long spell. So he's come back now. He seems fine.
Well, it's great to have him back and have him back in winning form. And last Saturday night here, he really fought hard to the line. It was a very gutsy win from him. As I said, drawn 7 this Saturday. Can he go back to back?
He probably needs a few things to go his way. He again drew pretty wide in gate 7, so we'll just have to wait and see how things work out. It's 2,300 this week. It was 1,600 last week, so he's stepping up a fair way. I don't think that's a real query. It's just the way the races run and whether I use him off the gate or not to get him into a better posse. But it's going to be difficult, no doubt about that, but it's quite possible that he could go back to back.
Hey, Bernie, we go to the Racenet Discovery Stakes, a really, really important race leading into the Eureka. I've got to declare my position on this. I'm sorry about this, but I've declared Royal Cruiser on the morning line on Sky Channel this morning. I think he's going to be incredibly hard to beat. He's bringing some fantastic form into this race. Our goat is flying as well. Mate, you've got 2 really strong chances, and just so everyone's aware, irrespective if they get runs or not in the Eureka, the emergencies come out of this race and they get guaranteed a run on the in the stockade on Eureka night. So really important how their finishing positions in this race. Interestingly, you've got the nephew driving Royal Cruiser. You're on our goat, so you've given up the favourite drive to drive our goat. Is there something we should be looking into that, or is it something that you have an allegiance to our goat? Because, mate, I've put my reputation on the line. I've tipped Royal Cruiser. I hope I've gone the right way here, mate.
Yeah, no. The way the draws have fell, he's certainly a great chance. I talked to Brad and engaged him before the race and the draws, and I just said to him, he needs a good aggressive driver, and
Brad's that.
Brad knows Menangle inside out, so he's a super tough horse, and he's just really relishing, over the distances, and his last few runs when Brendan drove him up north in Brisbane were super, and I feel that he's going to be really hard to beat. So Brad will give him a good steer. I'll do my best with our gate from his draw, and hopefully they're both in the finish.
We don't want to put too much pressure on you, Bernie, but that horse might feature as my best chance of the meeting as well. Royal Cruiser.
Some pressure. Sorry about that, mate.
No, well, his work's been terrific, so I'll hope you're right on the mark, because I'm pretty confident with him anyway.
Bernie, we'll just turn our attention to Monday now, where the Breeders' Blue Heats are set to take centre stage. You're always a really big supporter of that series. How many horses can we expect to see you down here with?
We nominated 8 this morning, so hopefully if they all sort of get runs, and there was a few fringe dwellers that we decided not to take. Just need a little bit more time. They come in a little bit late and not quite ready, so I think there'll be 8 runners.
Yeah, look, well, speaking to Harness Racing New South Wales today, I'm pretty sure all horses there. I think there'll be 11 heats here conducted on Monday, Jess and Bernie. Like, there's a bit of an exclusive for you. I'm pretty sure there's going to be about 11 races here Monday. I'll try not to have you in races 1 and 11, if that's okay. Yeah. But, yeah, I think there's about 3 of the 2-year-olds, both of the 2-year-olds, and I think there might only be 2 of the 3-year-old colts and geldings. I think that come back to about 20. As I said, they've just got to check eligibility, but at this stage it looks like there's about 11 heats, mate. So you're going to have a pretty busy afternoon there.
Yeah, it'll be busy, and obviously it's trip too. So, the pretty early start on Monday.
It will be.
Yeah.
And Jungle Dragon, would he have to be your top seed that you'll be bringing down?
He's a top seed in the 3-year-old geldings for us. Yeah, I see Walter Warlock and Mac Bonner, probably another 2 that are really above average, really nice horses that are in that race. But he's our top. He's the only one in the 3-year-old colts and geldings that we've got in, actually, Jeff.
And any 2-year-olds that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Really happy with Lexi. He had a tough run the other night. Nothing worked out for him, and he just got a one-line a bit. So straightened him up. He seemed to be fine, and worked him again this morning in the mud, and he's really feeling good. So if he gets even luck and a bit of a draw, I think he'll be hard to beat as well.
Bernie, it's been great to have you on the Menangle Angle today. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck with your team on Saturday and Monday here at Club Menangle.
No worries. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Bernie. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of days in a row.
Rightio. No worries.
Okay, mate.
Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Well, joining us from just up at the Menangle Park Training Centre is Chris Judd. He has 4 horses engaged at Club Menangle this Saturday night. Juddy, how are you this wet Thursday?
Good, thanks, Jess. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hey, Juddy, how's that main track holding up? I know, as I've been telling a few people, I never drove here. I paddled out to Menangle. But how's that main track?
Yeah.
You worked a few this morning.
Yeah, been out there, Wonno. Yeah, it's been really good. It's really hard underfoot, and yeah, we've done 4 or 5 trips on it today and held up really good, which is, fantastic.
Before we get stuck into your engagements on Saturday night, you must really be enjoying the run of late that your team's been having, because it's not too often that you leave here on a Saturday night without a winner.
Yeah, things are going really good, Jess. Just really happy with how the stable's building, and we've increased the numbers a bit lately, and I suppose we've been lucky to get some nice enough horses come into the stable that have been getting those Metro winners, so it's always great when you can line up on a Saturday and get a winner.
You just mentioned there that you've increased the stable. How many horses are you up to, and does that mean your farrier business has taken a bit of a back step as you look towards gaining more horses in the stable?
Yeah, I'm up to 14 at the moment, and as you said, I've had to take a little bit of a backward step with the shoeing and the farrier business. Still doing a little bit, but I've had to cut back a bit there just to free time up for the horses here. So they've always sort of been my preference. Get the horses work first and get things done, and then go shoeing after that. So with the increased numbers around the stables, I've had to trim things back a little bit there.
Mate, well, there's no more informed stable on a Saturday night than Chris Judd, Jess. He's incredibly informed team, and he's had a lot of success, a lot of winners. Mate, we're going to go to race 2, a horse called Alta William. When he packs his Reeboks, this is a really good horse, but he's done a couple of things a little bit wrong in the score-ups recently. He's an ODM. These races, it can really suit him, but as we know, barrier draws are all important. He's coming out from a wide barrier. How did he come through last week? I know, once again, a little bit of problem in the score-up, but then he copped a pretty bad check as well. Has he come through that all right, and you expect him to go all right this Saturday night?
Yeah, he's a really good one. We gave him a trial there last week just to tick one of the ODMs off. He hasn't really the 2 times that he's done it, it's put him out of the draw. He hasn't really lost any ground from it. He's just done it in the early parts of the score up, which is been why he's been put out of the draw. But he hasn't actually missed away at all, and I think he was going to run into it really well last start before he got a pretty severe check on the last bend. So that sort of took him out of play. But I really like the horse. His work here at home is really good and sort of works with the higher graded horses and handles it pretty easy. So I think going forward, he's probably one that will go through his grades pretty well. And I'm really looking forward to stepping him back out on Saturday, and hopefully he can get near the mark there somewhere. Obviously, he's drawn bad, but I don't know how Cam will drive him, whether he'll want to work forward or whether he'll be happy going back and looking for a trail. But I think either way, he'll be hitting the line strong at the finish.
Well, you talk about Cam. I know you've got a pretty close relationship with Cameron Hart, and it's probably pretty good you've got a good close relationship because he's arguably one of the best drivers in Australia, and he prefers your horses a lot over other drives, which is really good to see. Just talking about that, it'd be pretty comfortable sometimes where you just hand the reins over to Cameron Hart and say, mate, I've done my work. It's up to you now. Yeah,
that's it. He's one of the best at what he does, and probably a lot of people don't know that he's sort of taken a bit more of an active role in the stable there with me as well over the last 6 or 12 months. And
I noticed him driving some track work with you the other day.
Yeah, he don't. He's not never an issue if I need to get him out here working the horses, but he even sometimes prefers to stay in the barn and not drive the track work, which might surprise a few people, but he cops a little bit for that. But he's I'm really fortunate to have him help out around the stables, and anything over ask him is never an issue, and just very lucky that he does help out when I need.
We then look across to race 4. You have 2 horses engaged here, and we'll start with Betterthancash, who's come up with barrier 5. This horse really impressed on his Australian debut where he finished second here for David and Stacey White. He then headed up to Queensland for their carnival there, and he's now joined your stable. How did the opportunity come about to train this horse?
Yeah, I was just very fortunate to get him, Jess. As you said, David and Stacey White had him over here. They brought him over from New Zealand, and I don't think they'd raced him previously over there, and they were lucky enough to get him for the campaign over here in Australia with the trotter, Bet and Win, and they had him here at the barn with me for a couple of weeks while they stayed in Sydney. And when they were leaving, the ownership group just decided they wanted to leave him in Sydney somewhere, and David recommended me, and I was just fortunate enough to be able to get him. And his work at home's been really good. Couldn't have been happier with his work, so I'd expect a pretty bold showing from him on Saturday.
And I noticed yesterday he was a scratching from the trial. Was that just a case of it was too wet to take him out?
No, I just sort of wasn't sure whether he'd get a run at Menangle on Saturday night or not. He didn't have a whole lot of money next to his name, and I thought if they only run one division that he might not get a run. So if they did that, I was just going to run him out in the trials. But with the second division running, and he got to go there, so I left him in Saturday and didn't worry about the trials.
Your other runner in that race is number 8, Firefox. He's come up there with a wide draw. How do you rate his chances in this event?
Yeah, his figure form probably doesn't look great on paper. He's apart from his one start at Newcastle where he galloped out, I've been relatively happy with all his runs. He's sort of hasn't been too far off the mark, but yeah, he probably just needs a bit of a kind trip and the right run, and he might be a small place chance. But I'd just like to see him hit the line strong. He's sort of been getting back in his races or having to do too much work early, and it's sort of taking its toll on him late. So hopefully he can just have a nice trailing run there and hit the line well.
Juddy, I can't believe it. Doubting the racing manager on 2 divisions in a 95 here on a Saturday night. They're my go-to at the moment. So, but they've been really good races, haven't they? Like, they're giving these horses opportunity. They've been out of a little bit of form, and they haven't got the dollars quite beside their name. You do try and program, Jess, when I do the programs. Other than feature events, you have 7 race codes. So it gives the opportunity for either 295s or 280s, and gives these horses that definitely they deserve their shot. And these better horses deserve their shot on Saturday night. So it's been really important. These conditions we ride on the 95 also allows horses battled out of the free-for-all. And you'll see that a number of horses get their chance in the 95s that are out of form a little bit or just plain unlucky. but they get an opportunity where they can go back into that first division of the 95, and those horses at 95s that quite aren't there, they get their chance in the second 95. Mate, we go to race 5, but I've just given myself a rap there, Juddy, okay? So I'm just allowed to do that because it's
never in doubt. Never in doubt one on you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Race 5, number 10, Veet Monet. God, this has brought a really good field together. He hasn't had any favours done with the barrier draw. I got a soft spot for Veet Monet because he was one of my best bets last week, Jess, and I tipped it to a lot of people, and I was the man last week when Veet Monet saluted, and he was really good. I know you've had a good opinion of this horse for a long time, Chris. Hard barrier draw, but I can, if he can finish in that his top 4 results, or the top 4 finishes, excluding any horse that gets drawn into the Eureka, really important that you do become an emergency at the very minimum for the Eureka, because it's not a first, second, third, fourth emergency. They can pick anyone they want. And also it guarantees you a run in the Stockade, a $50,000 race. Once again, drawn really wide, but this horse is... Last week he put the writing on the wall. He's back to his best, isn't he?
Yeah, and I was really pleased to see his run last week. Mono, he sort of hasn't really got his way over the mile races here since we brought him back as a 4-year-old. So to sort of go post a 150 mile rate was really pleasing, and the way he done it was really encouraging too. He seemed to do it pretty comfortable, and I sort of wasn't too worried with the draw. I know that it's not ideal. You'd like to be in a few places, but sort of the last 3 or 4 runs over the 2300, we've had to be parked outside, and we're doing a lot of work against some really quality horses, and he still runs some really credible races. So hopefully with a bit wider draw, we might be able to just look to get a nice trailing spot there somewhere, and I'm sure he'll be finishing off strong late.
Just before we let you go as well, Chris, you've always been a great supporter of the Breeders' Blue Series here in New South Wales, and we know the heats take centre stage on Monday. Do you have any horses that have been aimed at this series?
Yeah, I've got 4 nominated for the Blue on Monday. I've got 2 3-year-old geldings and 2 2-year-old geldings. I've got With Distinction in the 3-year-olds. He's only had a handful of runs back from a long spell as a 2-year-old. He won his first 2 and then run a nice third at Penrith his next start, and then run 4th at Wagga on Friday. But I was really happy with his run at Wagga. He had to do a mountain of work, and he finished off. Well, he was probably entitled to get a bit tired, and he kept whacking away and didn't get beat far and run 4th. So he's come through the run well, and should be right to go for Monday. And then I've got Hokey Smoke Show, who's another 3-year-old that's just had 1 start for me. He's only had 2 starts. He won his maiden at Newcastle a couple of weeks ago and keeps getting a little bit better every time we step him out. So, he's in the 3-year-old as well. And then I've got 2 2-year-olds, Fearful, who's had only 3 starts. He's had a win in the second and a midfield finish at Wagga last week. And he's just come back from a little let up, so he should improve from that. And Nothing Finer, also in the 2-year-olds. He's a bit the same. Only had a handful of starts and had a couple of wins and a placing, and he's been doing a bit of racing of late. So, we've got a few there to send around on Monday.
There's 11 heats of Breeders' Blues on Monday, but unlike talking to Bernie Hewitt, where I said, mate, I'll try and not have it in the first and last, being up the road there, you won't mind being in the first and last. You can bring a couple down, take a couple home, because it's going to be a very long Monday for the rest of the staff here on Monday with 11 heats. Yeah,
it's one of the big benefits of having the barn here at Menangle, and even on Saturday nights. And if you got a bit of a gap, I try and be able to get the ones that are just raced home and into their feed nice and early, and then bring the later ones down a bit later. It's just so they're not there all night and standing around for no reason. So it is, a massive benefit of having the training centre close by.
I might need the stables on Monday anyway. I don't know if I'll have enough of them to fit everyone in.
Come straight from the trainer centre to the races.
Yeah.
Juddy, it's been great to have you on the Menangle Angle. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck on Saturday and Monday.
No worries. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Wonson.
Thanks, Juddy.
Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Well, Warno, as I mentioned, 8 races coming up this Saturday night. The first race is set to get underway at 5:54pm, and we're going to jump straight into race 5, which is the Racenet Discovery Stakes. As we mentioned earlier on as well, 4 emergencies will come from this race for the emergencies into the Eureka, and they'll come from the 4 top place runners that don't receive a slot in the world's richest harness race.
There's not a lot of slots. We had an announcement this morning. See the Stars has taken the Cordina Racing slot. There's still a few available. Team Sav, the TAB haven't made a final decision yet. Well, I've got to say, I don't think Kevin Seymour's made a final or Wayne Lowe have made a final decision.
There's been no announcement as yet.
Not as yet, so it'll be interesting to see where that all plays out. And the only way you can become emergency is this week. So I'm really looking forward to Discovery Stakes. I think it'll be a really competitive race.
And there's 6 last start winners in this race, which I know is a stat that you always love to bring up, is how many last start winners there are. And it's a really quality field to go around. Who do you have on top?
I'm a Royal Cruiser fan in this. Interesting, like Bernie had the choice of Royal Cruiser, our goat. He'd already declared that Brad Hewitt was going to drive this irrespective of the barrier draw. He said he needs an aggressive driver. You probably wouldn't see many more aggressive driver than Brad Hewitt. And you just had to watch that last week with the way he drove that 2-year-old and captain's knock. Very aggressive front-running drives. I think this horse will be suited to that. So I do really like. And what I also like is that the tab, he's been a firmer on the tab. So it's nice that the punters have also stepped on board. I think he opened about 350s into about 290, 280 at the moment. I do like Royal Cruiser in what's going to be an incredibly exciting race.
It will be, of course, over the 2,300 metres as well, the Eureka distance. So we can't wait to see that field line up in the Racenet Discovery Stakes on Saturday. Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Saturday night's card. Who is Wano's best?
My best bet, and the stable's declared him, and he has to win this race if he wants to get into the Len Smith Mile. So that presses all the right buttons for me. He's Kingman. Kingman in the free-for-all. I think he's the best bet.
Well, I think we've done a little bit of a reverse here because Kingman is your best bet. He's my next best. And as I mentioned earlier on in the show when we were talking to Bernie, Royal Cruiser's my best. And you also said that he was your next. Yeah, so he's obviously your next best. So we've gone in tandem there. Although
we've doubled down. I like that.
Yeah. So
doubled down on our investment. So all our listeners, there you go. What a great heads up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to state more of a case for him there as being my next best in Kingman. We've spoken about Royal Cruiser there, so we've ticked off our
really
best
like
and
Royal
our
Cruiser.
next best. Who value play?
Well, I don't know if it's a value play because I'm not sure where he'll sit in the market. There's no early markets on this race, but I really like a horse, Rock and Roll Do. Barrier 2, he trialled really well here last Wednesday week. He's down in grade. He's got a fantastic barrier. As I said, he had a spring in his step here at the trials and he beat Hi My Name is Jeff in a very fast time. Talking to Michael Stanley after that trial, he's really happy where Rock and Roll Do is at present. If you get some each way value about Rock and Roll Do, that's value. My value bet, Rock and Roll Do.
My value comes up in race 4, number 4, Double Act. I've gone with the locally trained hope here for Harry Martin. Ash DeLosa set to take the reins, and his last 4 starts, he's been the bridesmaid twice and also had 2/3. So he's definitely been knocking on the door for a win. And last start, he did a power of work and was still there in the finish. So I'll be hoping he can get the job done for Harry and Ash on Saturday. Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Well, Wano, that's a wrap on this week's The Menangle Angle. It's been great to speak with Bernie, great to catch up with Chris as well, and great to speak to yourself as well. It's the favourite part of my week, I think.
Oh, you're that's why I wear a tie now just to these shows. I know people can't see it, but you can explain to everyone I've got my nice red tie on and I just want to bring that class to the show. And, I'll surprise you with another tie colour next week.
Excellent.
But,
Looking very dapper. I think I commented on it before the show. In his Eureka vest, a red tie, very professional, looking like the ultimate sportscaster. So well done.
I've got the Havianas on as well, the Toms, the rubber Toms. So.
And the board shorts where your surf's up out there, as you mentioned, dolphins in the middle of the track. So look out.
Rode a surf ski out of yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Menangle Angle. We'll catch you again next Thursday from wherever you listen to your podcasts.